to the October 16th regular meeting of the Livonia City Council. Tonight's meeting will be started with the offering of the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilman Rob Donovic. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Donovic. This is the 1979th regular meeting of the Livonia City Council. This is a voting meeting, and minutes of this meeting will be approved at the next regular meeting, which will be November 1st of 2023. Ms. Nash, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Donovic.
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Here.
Councilmember McIntyre.
Aye.
Vice President Toy. Here. Councilmember Barr.
Here.
President Jolly.
Present. We have all 7 members of our council here tonight. At this time, I would entertain a motion in regards to the meeting minutes of October 2nd of 2023.
So move.
Support.
We have a motion by McCullough, support by Mr. Donovic. Are there any additions or subtractions or comments on the minutes from the council? Any from the audience? Seeing none, Ms. Nash, will you take the vote on the October 2nd meeting minutes, please?
Councilmember Donovic.
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember McIntyre.
Aye.
Vice President Toy. Aye. Councilmember Barr.
Aye.
President Jolly.
Aye. The meeting minutes of October 2nd are passed. At this time, we have a housekeeping matter to attend to. Ms. Toy has a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I may, I would like to bring forward a motion for a correction on the October 2nd meeting.
September 18th.
Oh, pardon me, this is the September one, pardon me. Alrighty, this motion is to revise minutes from the 1977th regular meeting of the council held on September 18th of this year and adopted at the 1978th regular meeting of the council held October 2nd, 2023. The
Nunc-pro-tunc.
It's a Latin term, and I have never had Latin, to include verbiage that the notice of the sale, resolution, water supply, and wastewater system revenue bonds, Series 2023, attached to the revenue bond, is approved for certification by Livonia City Clerk.
Support.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. By way of explanation,
Yes.
there was a matter that had to be included in the meeting minutes that we were not aware of at the time, although it was reflected accurately in the packet of information we had. This is housekeeping to make sure that the sale of bonds that is mentioned was able to go through successfully on a tight deadline. So are there any other comments in regards to this motion from the council, from the audience? Ms. Nash, will you take that vote on amending the meeting minutes of September 18th?
Councilmember Donovic.
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember McIntyre.
Aye.
Vice President Toy.
Aye.
Councilmember Barr.
Aye.
President Jolly.
Aye. So those meeting minutes from September 18th are now amended to accurately reflect what should have been there to begin with. The council has set aside up to 30 minutes at the beginning of the meeting to hear from the audience on any topics that are not on the agenda this evening. Each member of the audience has 3 minutes to do so. Ms. McIntyre, as the parliamentarian of the council, will take the time, and we'll kick that off at 7:05. Good evening, sir. Your name and address, please.
Thank you. Christopher Martin, and reside in the great state of Michigan. What I'm going to attempt to do, to some degree, is restore free speech. A number of years ago, when Brian Meekin was council president, and Don Knapp Jr. was our city attorney sitting over there keeping the chair warm that Paul is now currently sitting in, that the audience communication at that particular time was 2 3-minute segments. 1 3-minute at the beginning of the meeting, 1 at the end. The only thing that you can regulate is free speech, the length of it, not the content of it, unless I holler out fire or something like that. So they did cut that in half. That's why I like to use the beginning, but I could also just use the end of the meeting and not the beginning 3 minutes. But over the years, though, I do think that free speech, especially in this forum here, has taken a great step backwards by past council presidents, interrupting what people are saying because they don't happen to like what they're saying. And that's not what this book is all about, Constitution. Also, the fact that in your oath of office, when you were sworn in, you agreed to follow this. No matter what people said up here that might make you angry, want to lash out at somebody. It's not the way the system's supposed to work. So I'm going to try to reestablish that. But recently I got a flyer in the mail. Linda Shield, running for the position that Susan Nash is currently in. I had to laugh. It says, "My proven experience." She has no experience in that job whatsoever. 0. We have a deputy clerk that I would encourage people to vote for, and that's due to the fact that she has some experience. And when I see the endorsements from some of you sitting up there, it's not, in my opinion, it's not in the best interest of the citizens of Livonia for you to be endorsing her. You're endorsing her because she's a team player, and you're on the same team. It's unfortunate, though. The team should be the citizens of Livonia. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Anybody else for audience communication?
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Margaret Earl, and I live at 31545 Pembroke Street in Livonia. And I just wanted to recognize some wonderful, conscientious Livonia employees and volunteers. Recently, when we talked about the trees and their maintenance, we talked about the importance of maintaining the boulevard trees. And on that Wednesday meeting, I went home and talked with my husband, and on Thursday, he called to see if we could have some trimming done on the tree in front of our house on the boulevard. The branches were into the street as far as cars going underneath. That call was made on Thursday. On Friday, we had someone from the department come out and look at the tree, and he said, "Well, I'll take care of that, but this tree has to come down." And we were kind of puzzled as to why. Actually, there had been a big crack in the branch that was supporting those particular branches, and it would have been a liability if that had fallen off. They came out on Saturday and took down the tree. On Monday, they did the stump removal. The service was excellent, and I'd like to recognize from the Water and Parks Department, Mike, Ken, and Ralph, who worked diligently on those days. I'd also like to recommend congratulations to Chris, who works at Greenmead in charge of the Highland Tea Program. They had wonderful volunteers taking care of all of the guests. It was a wonderful experience. We had 2 tables that we had reserved, and everybody just totally enjoyed themselves. So again, I'd like to thank all the people who volunteered to help at Greenmead at that event, and also Chris, who was in charge of it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else from the audience? We'll go to council communications here. I'll get us started real quick, noting that we do have one X item tonight at the end of the regular agenda. That is X1, and we have new data on item number 9. And our very own Information Services Director, Casey O'Neill, is celebrating his birthday on October 25th. With that being said, we'll wish him a happy birthday, and we'll go to Ms. Toy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I have a little bit of sad news for our community and all of us. If you haven't known, Mary Galasso, who was president of the Italian American Club for many years, had passed away about 2 weeks ago after our last meeting. She was a tireless worker, just big part of the club and establishing the club where it is now from the Rosedale Garden location, those of you that are old enough to remember that or remember it. And also a very dear friend, who many of us know, former police chaplain, Sister Ann Stam. Sister Stam was just a delight. She gave a new meaning. She was a nun, a sister, here and for the Phoenicians, and she gave a new meaning to lightness of being a nun. I don't happen to be Catholic, but I could hear some stories about different things where they use rulers and things like that. And I think there was even a play out on those kinds of things. And she passed away at 90 years young. And it was on her birthday, just last week. And she was buried this morning. And she was our police chaplain, as I said. And I know that her and Maria Stante went up to Traverse City, just as a side note. I chaired a committee when I was in the legislature on consumer protection. We went up there, and those two came into the room and had everybody laughing. I mean, they were just such characters, and Sister would let people, and I can say this now that she's gone, try on her habit and dance around. And she was just one of those delightful people that people flocked to, including abused children, where she had rabbits on the Phoenician property that she raised and brought in children that had abuse kinds of issues and emotional issues, mental health issues, if you will. And the rabbits were kind of a cross kind of thing for her to bring those children out and kind of talk to them and make them feel comfortable. So she's going to be sadly missed, as is Mary, two real icons of this community. And I just wanted to share that with all of you. And Mr. Chair, ask for a few moments of silence for both women.
Of course.
Amen.
Ms. McIntyre and then Mr. Donovic.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Jolly. Two things. First of all, a big thank you and congratulations to Livonia Police and Livonia Fire Department and our CERT volunteers for a fantastic fire safety open house on Saturday. The day was rainy, but it was still a packed house, and as always, just a great day of fun for kids and also opportunities to learn a lot about fire safety. And it was also nice because we had the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission there with a lot of information about recalls, and appreciated that staffer who covers all of Michigan taking the time to be there. But great event, saw some friends there. Our CERT volunteers were in the house as always to keep crowds moving and make sure that everybody had a good time, but it was a wonderful event. So congratulations to them. And also, I'm sure there were a number of Livonia residents who ran in the Free Press Marathon yesterday, but I wanted to say a note of congratulations to two good friends of the city, Jim Davis and Dave Lumley. They're both great residents and citizens, also longtime volunteers at Rosedale Presbyterian. And they did about 400 miles of running and training for the marathon, and they both finished with a great time of 5 hours and 22 minutes. And I'm not going to say how old they are, but people half their ages would be happy to have that time. So congratulations to them. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Donovic.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have two things. One, I'd like to sincerely thank Linda Scheel for all of her years and dedication of service to this community, and her dedication to the taxpayers of our community, and how hard she works for our community. And I'm very thankful for what she does for our community. Second, I'd like to say that the Livonia Faith and Blue event was a very nice event. The police department held an event 2 Saturdays ago. There must have been 100 or so people there from the community, kids and families and all sorts of people here. So it was nice to see so many people come out and show support to our Livonia Police Department. They unveiled their vehicle that has, part of the vehicle is pink to pay respect to people and breast cancer and whatnot. So that was really nice, and the food was great. Mission Barbecue came out, and they had some awesome barbecue, and it was a great event. So thanks to the Livonia Police Department and everybody else that was there. Thanks, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. Barr.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Two things. First of all, those of you that were here saw me scoot in here a little bit after 7 o'clock. I'm going to take the opportunity to congratulate the Livonia Alliance Select Soccer Team, which I'm a part of a team of coaches that coaches, and I came straight from that game, and we were in a tense 0-0 game. And at halftime, I told the boys, I said, I have to be out of here by 6:45. Get me one before I leave. And they literally headed one in as I was getting to my car. So,
right,
and I just
right.
got word that they won. So Livonia Alliance, congratulations, just gave you a public shout out. Second thing, and Mr. Chair, I'm going to be asking for something to go on our next study agenda here in a second, but I'll give the background for that first. It's come to my attention from multiple sources within the city. Our residents are aware of the City Connections, Livonia Connections magazine that goes out with programming and announcements and events that are coming up. And that was originally slated to be going to residents to hit mailboxes on November 15th. On September 29th, there was an email that went out from a member of the administration to everybody who was providing content for that, saying that that date had been moved up to November 2nd, and noted that they were now on a very condensed editing schedule in order to meet that date. Now, this might not, you might wonder why I'm bringing this up. The reason is the optics. As you can imagine, and this is typical, and in and of itself is fine, but the cover of that magazine is a posed photo of the mayor, and who is in an election just days after the day that this has been moved up to hit mailboxes. It would have hit after the election. And just as a comparable, we have, and there may be other laws out there, I've not done an exhaustive search, but U.S. congressional rules has this rule. Each mass mailing sent by a member of Congress must bear the following notice: prepared, published, and mailed at taxpayer expense. Senators are prohibited from sending mass mailings fewer than 60 days prior to any primary election in which they are a candidate, as well as 60 days prior to any general election, regardless of whether or not they are a candidate. House members are prohibited from sending mass mailings fewer than 90 days prior to any general or primary election in which they are a candidate, and are prohibited from sending unsolicited mass mailings outside their district. Mr. Chair, what I'd like to do is, and this will have no bearing on this fall, but just going forward, and I don't recall, at least in my time on council, I don't recall a time that we've had to deal with a situation like this before. But what I'd like to put on our study agenda is to study the possibility of ultimately submitting to the law department language to prepare an ordinance for our city that is similar to the U.S. congressional rules. I will share this text with my colleagues in advance of that study meeting so we have time to prepare and study on your own. In the meantime, maybe we can do a little further research into what other municipalities have done. But I think it would behoove the city going forward, and again, this can have no bearing necessarily on this fall. I mean, we wouldn't have anything in place in time, but I do think from an optics perspective, it is incredibly important that we keep politics and city business separate, and certainly keep the optics of that separate. And in this case, I did reach out to a member of the city administration on Friday to try to get an explanation as to why that had been moved up. I have not been called back. And, you know, maybe there's an explanation, but regardless, there's a reason those rules are in effect for Congress. I think we should be doing something similar in the city, so I'll ask that be put on the next study agenda. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Is that a motion?
Do I need a motion to put something on a study agenda? I mean, I'll do that, but
I think it would be,
I don't think
No.
any council member
Yeah.
can request it, right?
that's fine.
Yeah.
Just for
Yeah.
study.
Can you write that up then?
Yeah, I can do
Write
that.
it up so we have the exact
Yeah, and I'll send
verbiage.
something certainly to you, and I'll share it with council. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Toy and then Mr. McCullough.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe that, I'm wondering if we should add council to that as well, clerk and treasurer, since they're elected bodies. Perhaps if we're really gonna run that kind of a gamut, it may, you know, it may be necessary, it may not be, I don't know. I think what we all have to keep in mind as we go through the funny season, I always call it the funny season because people misbehave and behave wildly of what we've all known of them. I mean, sometimes worse than others. And God knows I've been through enough of them. And I'll tell you something, you know, the mayor, the president, the governor, we were always told the governor's always going to get more attention than all of you legislators do, so don't start getting upset. But the sensitivity of elections are sensitive, I get that. But by the same token, The governor is the governor, the mayor is the mayor, the president is the president, and for whatever, we choose them to run this city. And we choose them to run our country, like it or not. And, you know, we're the United States, so united you stand behind those leaders, because united you stand, divided you fall. And I know that a real famous person once said that, and it's true. We can only see what's going on in our world today, and we've got to stick together. If we don't, there's just chaos. And some people in this world love chaos. You know, I don't mean to sound like give peace a chance, even though I was raised in the 60s, but we gotta just calm it down. These next 3 weeks are gonna be real wild, and you just fasten your seatbelts, and that's what you do. And just know that things are gonna happen or not happen. And, you know, I'm open to whatever you wanna investigate, but by the same token, I think we have to keep those kinds of factual things that it's election year right now in mind. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Mr. McCullough.
Thank you, Council President. Well, at least for this Sunday, take the seatbelts off and get over to Greenmead for the Livonia Kiwanis 40th anniversary pancake breakfast. That was like very used car salesman. 11 to 1 at Greenmead. You can get a chance to have some pancakes. The tickets are only $5. Children under 10 they'll eat free. And it sounds like a great time that you can actually chat. I know the Livonia JCs will be there as well. And good event to meet a lot of the service organizations in our community. The other thing that I want to do is I want to give a shout out to the 10U Livonia Girls Hockey Nights. So opening night, the Red Wings celebrated a victory against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And it was mostly because the girls got to be during the shootout during the first intermission. No, they played great. It was an awesome time. Livonia was represented, and the girls had a blast. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan.
Yeah, I would just like to take a quick moment here because we're not going to have another council meeting before Halloween, and I would just like to say that out to our citizens and the kids out there that I hope that we have a safe holiday and that everyone is careful when they're driving down these dark streets and look out for the children and make sure that they're driving safely and that the children are well protected in our neighborhoods. We don't want to have any accidents out there. So thank you and happy Halloween.
Mr. President,
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Mr. Donovic.
I would just like to let everybody know that Councilman Morgan is giving king-size candy bars at his house on Halloween, so feel free to stop by his house. I heard, yeah, I think
What's his address?
our city clerk is right, Susie Nash, that Councilman Morgan will be giving 2 king-size candy bars to each child. So bring them there. Thank you, Mr. President.
Giving out ice cream.
I would be happy to do that, but no one ever shows up at my house. I don't know what it is.
Oh,
Rob, are we still banned from his?
Thank you all. At this time, we will move on to our scheduled agenda for tonight. Tonight, that starts with reports from the mayor and other city officials. First is a communication from Jeffrey Bunker of the Clarenceville School District dated June 8th of 2023, requesting the city continue to collect the district's taxes for the year of 2023. A communication from Brian Broderick of Schoolcraft College dated May 24th of 2023, requesting the city continue to collect the college taxes for Schoolcraft, for 2023. And a communication from the Department of Finance dated September 29th of 2023, forwarding quarterly investment report for the city of Livonia for the quarter ending August 31 of 2023. With that said, we'll move on to the consent agenda tonight. That's items 1 through 4. These items were previously studied on October 2nd and found to require no additional study and will be voted on as a single item. Can I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Support. Motion.
Support.
Mr. Morgan has made a motion to approve with support from Mr. McCullough. Is there any comment from the audience on items 1 through 4, the consent agenda? I see none. Ms. Nash, will you take the vote, please?
Councilmember Donovic?
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan?
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough?
Aye.
Councilmember McIntyre?
Aye.
Vice President Toy?
aye.
Councilmember Barr?
Aye.
President Jolly?
Aye. The consent agenda 1 through 4 passes. We'll move on to unfinished business. Meetings of committees. Item number 5 here is a report out from the Finance and Budget Committee meeting of September 20th of 2023. That's chaired by Mr. Barr. Mr. Barr, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we had our annual budget review on Wednesday, September 20th, 2023. The budget's due to council for review on September 15th, and it was. And so then we always have this meeting to sit down with the mayor, with the finance director, and other attendees and review the proposal. All council members were present, as well as Linda Shields, City Treasurer, Susan Nash, City Clerk, City Attorney Paul Bernier, Finance Director Mike Slater, City Assessor Linda Goslin. Actually, that is not true. It was her assistant that was there, so we'll fix that in the minutes. Dave Varga, Chief of Staff, Robert Jennison, Fire Chief. We also had some members of the school board there, which will be relevant to one of the things that I mentioned in the minutes. Madeline Acosta, Karen Bradford, Colleen Burton, and then LPS CFO Allison Smith. And Jacob Liberati from Assessing was there, as well as Connie Kumpla, the Chief Accountant. In going through the budget, the meeting convened at 7:04 p.m. Jacob from the Assessing Department reviewed the 2023 assessment data. Following introductory comments by the mayor, Finance Director Mike Slater walked council members through the proposed 2023-24 budget, taking questions as we went along. I just noted a few bullet points of highlights. It's about a 2-hour-long discussion, so I'm not going to recap the entire meeting, but a few quick highlights. This budget maintains a fund balance of 24% of total expenditures, which far exceeds the recommended 16.7%. The general fund revenues are expected to increase by 6.6%. The city does maintain the lowest city tax rate in Wayne County. When you hear revenues up by 6.6%, that's good for the city, maybe bad for your property tax bills, but it means your property values are going up. But that money is quickly eaten up, as we talked about at length. It's actually a pretty challenging budget. Just about roughly half of that is eaten up by wage increases. If you've followed our council meetings over the past year, you've seen a number of those as we just try to keep pace with the market. But then the remainder of that, and then some, is eaten up by significant cost increases in retiree health insurance contributions and the pension plan contributions from the closed pension plan from years ago, among other liabilities. A couple other points that the administration pointed out of increased costs that just make this a challenging budget, and these are smaller in amount, but they add up. The early voting period that I think we'll be hearing some about later tonight, that does have a cost to the city, just because we now have to staff a voting period of 9 days before an election. Also, the fact with marijuana having been approved, recreational marijuana having been approved a few years ago, citation revenue has gone down significantly. As I noted at a previous meeting, we can't emphasize enough, it is never the point of the city of Livonia to use that as a source of revenue per se, but it was money coming into the city that for years has paid off the court building debt, and this is the first year that the city is going to have to dip into I hope I'm getting this right, the general fund, but in any case, dip into our funds to pay that off, just because we don't have that source of income anymore. And then the administration walked us through just how there's less money available in the budget for capital projects, and that's probably what dominated a lot of our discussion then from there on out. The administration also suggested, in light of that the city may need to consider new revenue sources to fund capital needs in future years, although there's no action on that at this time or recommendations. That's my quick summary. The meeting ended at 9:05. The committee recommends to receive and place on file the City of Livonia preliminary budget documents for fiscal year 23-24 that were received on September 15th, and also to receive and place on file, and also the supplement to the preliminary budget personnel worksheets received on September 15th, 2023. And this item, as always, will remain in committee.
Thank you, Mr. Barr. Are there any comments from the council on that report out?
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Ms. Toy?
I just want to say thank you to Chairman Barr. He did a great job and has done for many years now, and we'll miss him not doing that budget. And also to Mr. Slater and to our mayor and her administration and the team bringing everything together. There's a lot of communities, municipalities, townships that are not operating real well these days. So we can thank our lucky stars that Livonia people pay their taxes and that they're disseminated darn well, and that we're one of the lowest in the county and in the world, no, that pay low taxes. So kudos to all of them and all of this team that makes it work every year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Toy. If there's nothing else from the council, Mr. Martin?
Yes, Christopher Martin, once again, a resident of the state of Michigan. Years ago, I used to study these things when I had dreams of sitting up in one of those seats up there. And I always found it to be entertaining that every year there was a $10,000 was set aside for an appreciation party for courthouse employees. Now, I don't know if that's in the budget. Maybe Mr. Barr knows. Mike Slater's out in the audience. Maybe he knows. I haven't looked at that budget recently, but I can tell you that that was a standard that was in that budget for every single year. $10,000 set aside for an appreciation party for courthouse employees. So I guess my question through you, Council President, does Mr. Barr know anything about that?
Mr. Martin, this is not a question and answer
Okay, thank
period.
you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, if there's nothing else in regards to item number 5, we'll move on to item number.
Chair,
Oh, go ahead.
I'll just briefly respond. I'm not aware, Mr. Martin. I made a note of it. I will go to look. I will say, just as a general principle, and I'm not saying approve it or deny this, I do think it's fair to remember that just like any business, the city of Livonia is a business with employees, and just like any business, at times sees fit to do some things for the employees. The city, I don't think, is any exception to that. I don't think we would expect city administration to just never show any appreciation of that form or what else to their city employees. So without any specific comments of that, which out of curiosity, I'll go back and look. It's a thick budget. I do study it at length, but I don't know the answer to your question. But as a matter of principle, I'm not bothered by the notion that there'd be some money set aside for purposes like that. So thanks.
Mr. Barr, I can provide some potential insight, although I'm not specifically aware of that item. The court has a very novel program of having volunteer probation officers. At one time, previous Mayor Kirksey was actually the director of the volunteer probation office. I think what he's referring to is the thank you party and accompanying, things that go along with being a volunteer probation officer, of which probably saves the city and the court specifically probably hundreds of thousands of dollars a year from hiring other people. So although I'm not specifically sure that's what he's referring to, that may be exactly what he's referring to. All right. Anything else? I see nothing. We'll move to item 6. That's a report out from the Committee of the Whole meeting of October 4th of 2023. The topic of that meeting was the subject matter of the new Senior Citizen Center, citing Council Resolution 26823. Council members present for that were myself, Vice President Toy, Mr. Donovic, Ms. McIntyre, and Mr. Morgan. Mr. Barr and Mr. McCullough had other obligations that evening. City officials present were Mayor Brosnan, City Treasurer Scheel, Assistant City Attorney Goldstein, Finance Director Mike Slater, Parks and Rec Supervisor Ted Davis, and Assistant Director of the DPW Jacob Rushlow. The meeting convened at 7:30 p.m. The purpose of the meeting was for the administration to give us an update in regards to the efforts to seek grant and other funding to build a new senior center and the accompanying efforts for planning for said construction. The administration did give us that presentation, and they noted specifically at this time that the county could potentially fund $8 million towards the project. And at the time, it was stressed that that was a potential of $8 million. With that being said, no motions were needed at this time, and the meeting was adjourned at 8:29 p.m., and this item will remain in committee. Are there any comments from the council in regards to that? Mr. Donovic?
Thank you, Mr. President. It was a good meeting. I appreciate the administration, the mayor, Jacob Rushlow, and others being there and giving council as a whole kind of a brief update on what's going on. It's a really exciting project. In my opinion, it's the start of a future for our entire city square. So it hasn't come to us yet, but I'm looking forward to the county, awarding us that money, and it'll be a really good step in the right direction for our futures, for our city's future, and this city square specifically. Thanks, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Donovic. Vice President Toy.
Thank you. Mr. Donovic is the vice chair of this committee, along with myself, and there's another member on it as well. And he has done an outstanding job of making himself available to go to these meetings on practically a daily basis. This has been studied. I had an interesting experience today. I was grabbing a little sandwich over at 7 Mile and, what is that? 7 Mile Newburgh, at a little store over there. And a lady walked in and started talking to me. And she said, "Is it true we're going to get a new senior wellness center?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. We have a council meeting tonight. There's rumor that we have this thing, coming up, and it looks good." And she says, "I'm a young senior. I'm 70. I said, "Well, I'm a little older than you then." And she goes, "Yeah." She says, "But I think it's going to open up a whole new way of looking at seniors in our community. Us boomers don't necessarily like, the typical, we're going to play cards, and that's not to knock our seniors because they do a wonderful job there. But I'm just saying, they want some nuances. And I think with this new building, hopefully, if we get this new building or this new wellness center, whatever, it's gonna suit our needs very well. This building, I think we've outgrown. I really believe that in my heart of hearts. And there's other issues that are happening with that building as we studied it. And I commend us for having the vision to look at that, especially in my old alma mater, Bentley High School. So maybe we could rename that Bentley. And I know that Terry Marecki's out in the audience, and she got us some money from the county. So I think it's only fitting. No, I'm teasing. But in all seriousness, I want to thank Rob for all his efforts. And he brings to light another perspective, because he's in his 30s and probably wasn't born when they invented mortar. So, we're just happy to have him on that committee. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Those were wise choices. And I will be quiet now and let others speak.
So, Ms. Toy, I always promised that I would make a motion to rename part of the rec center the Laura Toy Bulldog Lounge. It will only be more fitting at this time when it's part of the senior center as well. So
He's so
I promise you that will happen before I leave the council.
Oh, my God.
So if there's nothing else from the council in regards to that report out, we'll go to the audience.
Terrible.
If there's anything from the report out of that committee of the whole meeting, number 6. We have to go back to number 5. Our diligent city clerk and city attorney notified me that, Mr. Barr, we have some business that we did not attend to, such as a motion for the budget.
You know what?
And the tax rates.
Do I have to do and tax rates too, right? Can I do
Yeah.
that all as one?
As long as everybody
Please.
understanding it's all done as one.
Okay, that's good for 2 reasons. 3 reasons. Number 1, it'll save me a lot of talking. Number 2, it won't bore everybody in the audience. Number 3, when I was prepping today, I didn't have the attorney notes yet, and I would have to go get them, and I don't have them in front of me. So I'll just do this off the top of my head and say, I will offer a motion to approve the budget as presented and all the accompanying tax rates that go with it.
Support. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
We'll give the support to Ms. McIntyre. Is there any comment from the council again on that motion? Any comment from the audience in regards to that? Seeing none, Ms. Nash, take the vote on the very important motion to fund the city. Thank you.
Councilmember Donovic?
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan?
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough?
Aye.
Councilmember McIntyre?
Aye.
Vice President Toy?
Aye.
Councilmember Barr?
Aye.
President Jolly?
Aye. The city budget is approved
And the tax rates.
and the tax rates. We will move on to item number 7, that's unfinished business. It's a block party request from Visar Jitag to be held on Tuesday, October 31st, 2023, from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. on Mallory between 6 Mile and Newburgh Road. Is Visar Jitaj here?
Mr. President, I'll move approval for sake of discussion.
Support.
We have an approving motion on the floor. Is Visar Jitaj here? This was put on the regular meeting agenda after I believe they did not appear at the study meeting.
Right.
Do you wish to remain with your,
If he is not here, then I will withdraw my motion.
I'll withdraw my support if they're not here. as
Okay,
Mr.
being-
Barr said.
Being no motion at this time, item number 7.
Mr. President, are we able to table it? I know this has happened in the past, and I'm always one that says we shouldn't be voting on these things unless the petitioner is here. I'm hoping that we can table it, although I'm
Well, it's
concerned
for
because we don't have a
October
meeting.
31st, so it's kind of a moot point.
Yeah,
So we'll
yeah.
We'll just proceed with no action on item number 7. Item number 8 is a waiver petition from the Planning Commission for petition 2023070211, submitted by the Manick and Smith Group, Inc., requesting waiver use approval to demolish an existing restaurant, Burger King, and construct a new automated car wash facility at Clean Express Auto Wash at 34835 Plymouth Road, located on the south side of Plymouth Road between Stark and Wayne Roads in the northwest quarter of Section 33. Notification was sent to Dennis Miller and Jacob Rillet of Manick and Smith Group. Can I have a motion, council?
I'll move approval.
Support.
We have an approving motion from McIntyre, support from McCullough. Is there any comment from the council in regards to item number 8?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Barr?
the reason this wasn't handled at the last meeting was moved to this is because there was a tax payment issue. And I'm just looking to confirm that we have confirmation, maybe if the petitioner's here to confirm.
Yes, the tax issue has been resolved.
Okay.
What's your name, sir?
I'm Jake Rowlett with the Manick and Smith Group.
Okay. We don't have new data on item number 9, and we don't have our
Yeah,
treasurer in the audience.
yeah, I know our treasurer's visiting family out of town. Mr. Chair, I'm fine, as I recall, we never like to approve these without proof that the taxes are paid.
We don't have
Okay, I'm getting nods that we maybe have it, and I'm just not finding it here, and plus we have him saying it, I'm fine with it, thanks.
Okay. Is there anything else from the council in regards to this? Ms. Toy?
Was the water paid up as well? Didn't we have did you have? Oh, different project, sorry. Too many things going on in Plymouth Road, excuse me.
Or not enough, depending on your perspective, right? Do you have anything you'd like to say at this time to add?
I mean, not unless there's any questions for me.
Mr. Donovic?
Thanks, Mr. President. To Mr. Tormina, I know in our study meeting, we had asked to specifically cite in our approval or denying, but approval for this sake, that the language be included for the no left turn on Plymouth Road. I remember you explicitly saying we should confirm that, so I wanted to make sure that it was included in there.
Was my understanding from that study meeting that you had directed the approving resolution to include no left turns from both Plymouth and Wayne Roads, and the resolution prepared this evening reflects that recommendation.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Barr?
It was actually my resolution that I offered at the last meeting that did not include that, and that's what we approved at the last meeting. At least that's what I offered and what we voted on.
If I can offer a little insight, sorry to interrupt. We did have a chance to speak with Peter Malinkovich at Wayne County Traffic Department. It is a Wayne County road, and he had no issue with allowing a left turn onto there.
And I explained, Mr. Chair, I explained in the last meeting my reasoning for wanting to leave that off. And that's the resolution that I offered and that we voted on, so.
Mr. Tormina?
And I'm going back to the previous study meeting, and that's correct, because there was some discussion regarding that. So in that case, then, condition, or item number 1 on the approving resolution could easily be modified to restrict that only to Plymouth Road, if that's the desire of council.
Who made the motion?
So, Mr. Chair, so just so I'm clear, and again, when I apologize, I've said this several times, and now it's biting me. Here they are. When I prepped earlier, I didn't have the attorney notes yet, and so I wasn't able to, but I have them now. So you're saying, Mark, that the resolution before us includes the restriction on left turns?
On both Plymouth and Wayne Roads.
On both Plymouth and Wayne?
Correct.
That was not my intent with what I offered. Mr. Termina is correct. Both Councilman Donovic and I at the study meeting had offered resolutions, one without, one with. He and I spoke prior to the previous meeting. of my intention to offer it without. I explained my reasonings why that was my intent. I would like to offer a substitute.
Well, before we go that route, are you willing to adopt what he's saying or no?
Oh,
I-
fine.
I am.
Okay, that's easier.
Yeah,
Good call, Mr. Chair.
okay, and supporting party, I'm sorry, I didn't take a note of who was the supporting
McCollum.
member. McCullough, you're okay with that as well?
And I'll just note, Mr. Chair, that ultimately, Wayne County may choose to do something different anyway, but as far as the voice of the council, that was my intent, so thanks.
Sure. So we have that properly accounted for?
So it would be, the resolution would be as is with the deletion of condition number 1 about the left turns.
Onto Wayne Road.
Onto Wayne Road and Plymouth Road?
Yes, that's
Just
right,
Wayne.
we would take that out.
So we would take out condition number 1 out of it, okay.
That's right, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Toy?
just for clarification, if I can, to Mr. Termina, what did planning recommend on this? I'm just trying to remember.
No left turns on Plymouth Road.
Okay, because what was the, do you remember the discussion?
The proximity to
The light?
the light
Yeah.
at Wayne Road, and the petitioner had agreed to
Right.
restrict or prohibit left
That's our
turns
intent, yeah.
from the site on the Plymouth Road. So it's my understanding the modification only applies to Wayne Road, and that the no left turn restriction would also be
No.
left. on
No,
Plymouth Road, or no?
I intended both. and-
Okay, I
Yeah,
apologize.
that's okay. No, I appreciate that explanation, because of the traffic flow right in there and all that as well.
It's the double
Coming
left.
around that, the double left, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Can we go to Mr. Donovic real quick, and then I'll,
Thank you, Mr. President. So, yeah, sorry for some of the confusion. That's why I asked, because the Planning Commission had originally recommended no left turn onto Plymouth Road because there are 2 double left turns right there. It's an absolute nightmare. You must be maybe 40 feet, maybe from the left turn signal onto Wayne Road from Plymouth Road. So I still believe that there should be no left turn on both Wayne Road and Plymouth Road. However, I was okay with voting to approve this project that there's no left turn on Wayne Road. I disagree with it, but I can make that compromise. I will not support this project if you could turn left onto Plymouth Road, which means you'd be going westbound. There's a Dunkin' Donuts right there. I believe that the Dunkin' Donuts, actually their approach leaving Dunkin' Donuts is configured in a way there's a cement medium in the middle to prohibit people from turning left. They've purposely done that with the Dunkin' Donuts approach, the egress into this building to make sure you cannot turn left. And the approaches entering into this car wash are right next to it. And I think Dunkin' Donuts took it upon themselves and realized that it's impossible to turn left right there. And I think the same could be said about the car wash. There are 2 approaches into this car wash, so I'm not going to be in support of this if they're allowed to turn left onto the road. But if they're going to remove the no left turn restriction onto Wayne Road rather, then I'll be okay with it. But if we're going to be allowing them to turn left on Plymouth Road, I think it's going to cause a lot of traffic congestion. I live right there. I don't care what Wayne County says. I see it every single day, and I know that it's going to be very dangerous for some of our motorists right there. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Barr?
Since we're engaging this, I'll just briefly explain again my reason for this. And this is not, I'm not losing sleep over this either. I certainly understand where Councilman Donovic's coming from. My reason for this was simply, I think that when we restrict left turns in situations like this, there are times that it's needed, but it often just shifts the problem. What happens is, and you see it all the time in Livonia, what happens is people turn right and then they're trying to cut across the traffic quickly to get into the left turn lane so they can pull into another business and then turn around and come back. It just shifts the problem. The Dunkin' Donuts, absolutely they should have a no left turn, and they do, because they're like right at the intersection. This only has 1 exit, not 2, from this car wash, and that's far enough away that I think it's okay not to shift that problem. And as I noted in the last meeting, we're talking about a property that for years has been a Burger King. A drive-through fast food restaurant, I think, probably has very similar traffic patterns, possibly even more intense traffic patterns than what a car wash will. And so if it's operated for all these years without the no left turn restriction, I'd rather not force that. So that was my reasoning. Similar to Councilman Donovic, I'm not losing sleep over this thing, but that was the rationale behind my resolution. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other comment from the audience in regards to item number 8? I see none. Ms. Nash, will you take the vote, please?
Excuse me. I just want to clarify, what exactly are we voting on? Because there was a lot of different
Yeah, as-
back and forth. Please, if you could clear up that, I'd appreciate
As I
that.
understand the motion, the motion was made by Councilmember McIntyre, supported by Councilmember McCullough, that it would be a yes with the deletion of condition number 1, which precludes no left turns on Plymouth Road and Wayne Road.
Are you clear?
Yep, that's the first vote, correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Ms. Toy?
We're adding another element, and not to beat this horse up, but we're adding another element because we're putting a car wash in there. I know modern technology, when those cars come off, but we've had this discussion on the councils in the past, and maybe that's where it needs to be left in the past. Maybe you have a better way to make sure all that water is off of those cars. Because in the wintertime, when those cars come out on a main street, it gets a little slippery when you are starting to hit the water that is coming from those vehicles. And you're gonna be right next to that Dunkin' Donuts, if my memory serves me correct. And, I'm feeling a little bit uneasy on that. I travel that road quite a bit. And there's a lot of traffic right there. And I just don't wanna give our police department any more, headaches in regards to accidents and terrible
sure.
things like that.
Yep. To address that, most car washes, I could agree, do have that issue where the cars still have a little water on them when they come out. That's why a lot of car washes have a drying station with an employee or two that will be drying off cars at the end. Ours doesn't even require those employees doing that. We have a really very high-tech, modern blower system at the end that
Okay,
it doesn't even require any drying.
good to hear.
And there's also an underground heating system on the 25-foot concrete leaving the car wash, so there won't be any freezing in that area.
Super, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Also, if I can address just one thing, we have no intention of allowing the left turn onto Plymouth. It may not be our final jurisdiction, but that wasn't what we were intending to even ask for. So, just to make that clear.
Thank you. Is there anything from the audience on item number 8? I see none. We'll go to Ms. Nash for the vote.
Wait, Mr. President, I'm so sorry. Can I go to the petitioner?
Sure.
So, thank you. So you're saying that you guys don't want to turn left on Plymouth Road, because that's going to swing my vote. If we're not turning left on Plymouth Road, then I'll be supportive of it.
No, we have no intention of allowing left onto Plymouth Road. It's only Wayne that I was talking about.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, Ms. Nash, take the vote so we can move on, please.
Oh, gosh, okay.
Councilmember Donovic.
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember McIntyre.
Aye.
Vice President Toy.
I guess.
Councilmember Barr.
Aye.
President Jolly.
Yeah, it is a vote. I said aye, I guess. Yeah.
I will say aye as well. The item passes. We'll move on to item number 9.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good luck. Number 9 is a waiver petition from the Planning Commission regarding the appeal of the denial of petition 2022060214 submitted by Stark Road Holdings LLC, requesting to utilize a Class C liquor license allowing for the sale of beer, wine, and spirits for consumption on the premises in connection with the operation of a multi-purpose recreational facility, the Livonia Athletic District at 14255 Stark Road, located on the west side of Stark Road between Schoolcraft Road and Linden Avenue in the southwest quarter of Section 21. This was denied by the City Planning Commission on July 19 of 2022 and appealed at the public hearing held on September 12th of 2022. Notification was sent to Todd McIntyre of the Livonia Athletic District, and new data was received from the same. Can I have a motion on this item?
I'll move for approval.
Support it for sake of discussion.
We have a motion to approve with support. We'll go to Mr. Tormina. Do you have any information on this item?
No, other than the petitioner has paid the back taxes on the property. This item was originally brought to the Planning Commission, and they denied it, as was indicated in your reading of the item. It was appealed, a public hearing was held. I think it was the council's desire to put this into committee. Just prior to that vote, the petitioner asked that this item be placed on the table, which brings us here this evening for a decision to either place it into committee or take some other action.
Okay, and for the petitioner, your name and address, please?
Yep, Todd McIntyre, and I work as managing partner at the Livonia Athletic District.
Okay, so why did you ask for this to be brought back forth at this time?
Yeah, President Jolly, Council, thank you for your time, of course. About 13 months ago, we were heavily delinquent on our property taxes along with our water bill. Since then, since operations have begun underway, we've added about 5 new businesses to our repertoire. Business is going phenomenal, and we were able to pay down those property taxes along with our current tax bills and all water bills. So we're at a point in our pro forma in our business that we're looking at phase 2 of our project, which heavily involves a Class C liquor license for the use during late night leagues. Think not opening a bar where people sit down and have drinks and watch a game, but opening up a bar where you come together, you fraternize, you build a little bit of community involvement, participating in pickleball, cornhole, things of that nature. So, we come before you just asking that we reopen the Class C liquor license, understanding that a decision probably won't be made here tonight, that it will likely go to the planning committee or the committee of a whole, but wanting to move forward with a Class C liquor license.
Thank you, sir. With that explanation, we currently have a motion to approve for sake of discussion. Is there any, Mr. McCullough?
Thank you, Council President. Through the chair to the petitioner, can you just take us through what your vision is with this new business venture, just high level?
Yeah, certainly. So, our vision is to be able to give the community of Livonia a little bit better option of adult entertainment lifestyle, right? People who care about the balance of their life with not only fitness and health, but also getting out in the community, having a little bit of fun. Those 9-to-5ers who are able to just come and relax a little bit, play a sport that they love, continue on, whether it be more of a recreational piece like pickleball or cornhole, or whether it be more of a competitive league, soccer, flag football, you name it, we have a wide variety. So it would really be one of those options where you walk up, you grab a quick drink, maybe an option to, bring your own beer, bring your own six-pack, if you will, have a nice cold one after a long day and just enjoy their time. So by no means a bar where, you sit there and binge drink, nothing like that.
No, thank you. Through the chair to Mr. Tormina, do we have any issues with Frost being in the proximity?
No, they are beyond that minimum separation requirement, as it's, the measurement is taken from building to building.
Okay.
And so they exceed that minimum distance.
Thank you. Just generalizing, we have a business before us that took the Livonia YMCA, invested during a time of COVID, and now finally, we put them on the spot at the public hearing to pay down the taxes. They've done that. The business seems to be doing great. Every time I drive by it, it's booming, and I think that for us to continue, we have to be innovative with what we do with development, and I think this is a great opportunity. They have a track record with doing this sort of thing downtown, and for me, I think it'd be a great amenity, especially for the early 40s parents needing to chase around the kids. So I'll be in full support of this, and thanks for bringing it forward.
Mr. President.
Mr. Donovan?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thanks, sir, for being here. So I share my colleagues' sentiments. I think it's a great idea. I've been to other kind of athletic environments, different places like that where you play sports, and then you can enjoy a cocktail or beer and whatnot when you're there. I generally understand it. A couple questions. Were there exterior modifications? I know at one point you guys were talking about like a beer garden outside. Are you planning on doing that with this approval, Mr. Termina, or through the chair, or through the petitioner? Or is this just asking for the liquor license component to allow them to serve alcohol on the premises?
So the plans submitted to the Planning Commission identified the areas within the facility where alcohol would be served and consumed. It was strictly within the confines of the existing building, did not apply at all to the exterior of the property, and there were no other modifications proposed as part of their request.
That is correct.
Okay, and then throughout your presentation, you mentioned something about bring your own alcohol from outside venues at a party store or from your home. So you would actually allow people to bring alcohol to your venue? you're not selling it yourself?
Yes, we would sell that alcohol, and then we would also allow options on certain nights to bring your own beer to save that money.
To Mr. Tormina, is that normal? We allow liquor license, like a bar establishment, whatnot, to bring your own outside liquor or adult beverages?
It is not normal. I would have to confer with our detectives that handles these liquor licenses and the Michigan Liquor Control Commission. It's our understanding that the service, there was going to be one or two service bars where alcohol would be sold by an entity of Livonia Athletic District within the facility. It was never discussed that it would be a BYO situation.
Yeah, I mean, I just know we just approved recently for, I think, the theater to allow them to serve alcohol on their premises, which again, I'm okay with it. It's adult entertainment and you're enjoying time with your friends, athletic leagues and whatnot. I'm not too sure about bringing alcohol from outside to the venue. I can see where that can cause a potential issue. Thanks, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan, then Mr. McCullough, then Ms. McIntyre.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. You know, I seem to recall that last time you brought this back around, there was some type of, I went over there, took a look, and the issue that I had with this is you really had no control over it. What your idea was, it sounds like a great idea, but what's to keep kids from having alcohol while they're, you know, working out or whatnot? How do you control who has the liquor and who comes and goes with the liquor? That seemed to be a big problem. And another thing is who watches these people? I mean, at a regular bar or the movie theater, when they sell, they check people's ID. Who are you going to have doing that? It seemed like there was nobody around to do that. And mind you, it's been a little bit since I've been over there. But that's why I was opposed to this originally when it came around, or when we talked about it previously. And I just think that the control that you have for an establishment that is either going to sell liquor or allow liquor on the premises, you have to have some type of control over that, and it just didn't seem like you did. You know?
No, I can absolutely appreciate that response. So for us, as a group, we've actually began a partnership with a restaurant management group, a guy named, like the name of Landon Garrett. He runs multiple different bar and grills downtown Plymouth, Ironwood, Gastropub. He's actually a good friend of mine and one of the silent investors of Optimus Barbell, the gym we just opened up inside our facility. So he would be the restaurant management group who would be managing what is the liquor and bar sales. His background spans a great deal into Legacy and Brighton, Sportsplex, multiple arrays. So we would kind of be partnering with an expert in that field and not necessarily doing it ourselves.
So there's no specific area in this place that you're controlling the liquor, though? It just can wander all over the building, correct? I mean, that's a
Correct.
pretty big, large building, and it has, what, a couple floors?
So we have three levels technically, yes, sir.
Okay, to keep control of it, okay.
Mr.
All right,
McCullough?
thank you.
Thank you, Council President. Through the chair to Mr. McIntyre, if we were, I love the idea. The BYOB, I don't think is a great, just from a generalized idea, I think it's good. It's a good idea, but at least from a business perspective, if I were to add that just to ensure that you don't do the BYOB, does that mess you up at all?
It does not, yeah. We would
Okay.
eliminate that from the service options.
If we could do that, if we could add that to the motion, I would support the approving.
Ms. McIntyre?
Following up on Mr. Morgan's concerns, I too have the same concerns. You're not going to do this at a time of day when only 21 and older are allowed, right? In the evenings, you have ages, mixed ages, correct? It's not all over 21.
That is correct, yes.
So in order for me to support this, I would think that I would suggest that people that buy alcohol, in order to buy it, you have to have a wristband.
Absolutely.
And like we do at the spree every year. And that way, right, it's easily identifiable who's allowed to have alcohol and who's not. So I don't know if you can work that into your operational plans, but I would want to see that as part of an approval.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Mr. Bernier and Mr. Tormina, the State Liquor Control Authority would dictate such regulations, would they not? I mean, we are not the ultimate
We're not the ultimate.
grantor of the ability to do this. We are,
We could preclude things in in the site plan or the plan, but the ultimate decision maker would be the state. But just as a point of clarification, I want to make sure that I'm on the same page as council right now. It's my understanding that this matters today is just the vote as to whether you're going to put it into the committee of the whole, not on the ultimate issue.
so I see that reflected in the attorney notes. But motions can be changed at any time.
Right, but the only thing that was in there was that, and that there wasn't anyone specifically saying they were changing it to approve it.
Okay, so, good point. So when the motion was made, that was, my understanding was that was to approve the ability to do this. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's the way I took it, as an approving per the request. Mr. Tormina?
With regard to the resolution, there was a prepared resolution that was before the Planning Commission that would approve this. And so there were a number of conditions that were outlined as part of that resolution. I can go over them briefly, but I think some of the key points is it does reflect a plan that was submitted where it shows exactly where the alcohol would be allowed and areas where it would be prohibited. And so the prohibited areas include much of the facility. It's only in limited areas that the plan that was presented to the Planning Commission would allow the serving of alcohol. And then other stipulations, as you would expect, in terms of compliance with MLCC and some other items. So, I'll leave it up to council if you'd like me to go over those in greater detail. But we do have a resolution that was pre-prepared for the Planning Commission.
Mr. Donovic?
Thank you, Mr. President. To Mr. Tormina's point, the original resolution did stipulate prohibited areas and allowed areas where alcohol could be consumed. Just like other venues I've been to, you can't just take your alcoholic drink to wherever you want inside the venue. There's areas designated for alcohol consumption, correct?
Correct.
Thank you, Mr. President.
If there's nothing else from council, we'll go to the audience. Is there any audience comments on item number 9?
Could I have a point of information, Mr. Chair?
Sure.
So, through the chair to Mr. Bernier, because this is state jurisdiction, the city, even though we're granting the waiver, we could not stipulate something like a wristband system.
Again, I'm a little behind. That's why I wanted to talk about the committee of the whole, because this wasn't what we anticipated being up tonight. With all due respect to council, I think you're from my perspective, rushing the decision, because we don't even have in front of us what the planning commission approved or disapproved. The entire motion coming out of the public hearing was whether or not the council was going to put it into the committee of the whole to have this discussion. So from a legal perspective, I'm a little uncomfortable with it, because we don't have in front of us the conditions that were laid out by the planning commission on it. It can be done, I'm not comfortable with it, though.
I think that's a fair point. But by way of history, it's oftentimes not the motion that's made at the public hearing that is acted on. And we shouldn't be presuming that any one thing will be happening at a meeting. Mr. McCullough, do you wish to amend your motion at this time?
Yes, I'll withdraw the motion, and I will make a motion to put this matter into committee of the whole if I have support.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by McCullough for committee of the whole, support by Morgan. I'm guessing there's nothing further to be said at this time. Is there anything from the audience in regards to number 9? I see nothing. Ms. Nash, take the vote, please.
Councilmember Donovic?
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan?
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough?
Aye.
Councilmember McIntyre?
Aye.
Vice President Toy?
Aye.
Councilmember Barr?
Aye.
President Jolly?
Aye. The matter is referred to the committee of the whole. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, council.
I'll notify you of a date soon. Item 10 is a request to approve a revised application for commercial rehabilitation exemption certificate from Ducati Detroit to reflect owner of record of the property located at 19265 Victor Parkway, Livonia, 48152, from CJK Investments LLC to Future Land Holdings LLC. Notification was sent to Charlie Knoll. Can I have a
So moved.
Support.
motion by Toy, support by Morgan? Is there anybody here from Ducati Detroit? Mr. Tormina?
Yeah, and I can represent or describe this item. This is just a modification to the resolution that was adopted. This was an item that was picked up by the State Tax Commission. They recognized a difference in the name between the application that was filed with the state and the actual true owner of the property. So this is just a correction of the resolution to reflect who the true owner is, and that's Future Land Holdings.
Thank you. If there's nothing, Ms. McIntyre?
No, go ahead, sorry.
If there's nothing else from the council, is anybody in the audience wanting to speak on item number 10? I see none. Ms. Nash, take the vote on 10, please.
Councilmember Donovic?
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan?
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough?
Aye.
Councilmember McIntyre?
Aye.
Vice President Toy?
Aye.
Councilmember Barr? President Jolly?
Aye. 10 passes. Moving on to new business, item 11 is a request for designation as a nonprofit organization. Coming to us from Christopher Crawford, the chair of the Livonia J.C.'s. This is required by the state of Michigan to obtain a charitable gaming license to allow a raffle fundraiser in the future.
So moved.
Support.
We'll go with McCullough on the support. Motion by Toy, support from McCullough. Good evening.
Good evening.
Can you tell us what your plans are here? I think we understand what's needed. Do you have specific plans?
Yes, so we are partnering with the Junior Chamber Senate to host an event at the St. Mary's Cultural Center. It's part of actually a bigger fundraiser that they do for scholarships in Livonia and surrounding areas for students. The Junior Chamber, which is 21 to 40, a lot of people here on the council are familiar with us, have worked with us in the past. We actually do a lot of other things in the community. So the money that we are going to be raising with the casino night will fund those events. So that is why we're doing the separate casino night, to be able to pay for those things.
Mr. McCullough?
If you haven't been to a JC party, you need to go to it. That last one we had, that murder mystery, was phenomenal. So looking forward to this, and hope you raise enough money for a couple years of funding. But keep them coming; they're a lot of fun.
Thank you.
So if there's an age cap of 40, is Peter Berman out?
Oh, he's
Or is he still hanging around in the?
He's getting there. I definitely, I know him.
I think he's there.
Oh, he's there.
I'm definitely one of the younger members, and just kind of trying to invest in our community in a whole and get young people out. I mean, you see new housing and new people moving in, and just trying to really kind of get young people involved in our community and kind of see how amazing it is to kind of live here and to grow here and stuff. So really just passionate about this community as well.
We appreciate everything that you do for the community, and we appreciate you inviting our friend to your parties as well.
Speaking of which, we want to invite everybody to Jeans and Jewels, which will be November 18th.
Yes.
So it'll be a blast for everybody, all ages for that event.
Sounds good. Thank you both very much. Is there anything from the council or the audience? I see none. Ms. Nash, can you take the vote on this, please? Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Councilmember Donovic?
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan?
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough?
Aye.
Councilmember McIntyre?
Aye.
Vice President Toy?
Aye.
Councilmember Barr?
Aye.
President Jolly?
Aye. 11 is approved. 12 is the approval of the City of Livonia early voting site. This is coming to us from the City Clerk's Office as adopted by the Election Commission meeting to establish the location, days, and hours of operation for Livonia's early voting site as required by Public Act 81 of 2023. And this will be filed with the Wayne County Clerk. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion to approve by Toy, support from Donovic. I believe this is coming to us from the city clerk. Are you going to run us through this, ma'am?
Sure, I'd be glad to. As the passage of Proposal 22-2 last year, There was, one of the provisions is that it is a requirement for us to have a minimum of 9 days of early voting. And that would be 9 days, but not the Monday before the election. So Mondays are always the first Tuesday after the first Monday, so that Monday would not be part of it. It would end on Sunday. And we did some look around Livonia to see where would be the best place to have a voting center. To meet all the needs, to have a secure location that can be locked, that can be, not have other people working in it at the time, that meets ADA compliance, that everything involved with that. The building that is housing south is one of our best locations for that, and that's where we put in for. We can have then, because there's 2 or 3 people, I think, that both work there throughout the week. We can move them during that time somewhere else without just a major disruption to any other departments. This way, we can have the building locked, secured, and set up. As we know, I'm setting this up, right, but I won't be the clerk, so I'm trying to get it all set, that everything will be ready for the next clerk. We have to have this filed with the county, and then the county files with the state. So we will have the 9 days. We will be open the 8 hours required each day, and that would be 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., and that would be both the weekends. It would start on a Friday and then end on a Sunday.
And what's the address of this again?
Well, the address is, let's see if we have it right here. It's Housing South, it's on Farmington Road, and I'm not exactly sure what that address is offhand. But it's just south of Sheldon, it's right there, just south of Plymouth Road. So the exact address, I'm not exactly sure of that one. It's probably in here somewhere.
10,800.
There you go, 10,800 Farmington Road.
Okay. And that's the
And
housing
It's the housing building.
commission office, correct?
Yes, and to a comment made earlier in the evening, good news is from Mr. Barr talking about the cost. There will be, some of these costs will be reimbursed by the state. So we have submitted for a grant that would cover a lot of this. And hopefully, all gets approved. We're trying to get our piece of the pie from the state, as every other community is too, but hopefully we can get enough to offset a lot of the cost.
Mr. President.
Mr. Donovan?
Thanks, Mr. President. Thank you, Clerk Nash, for your presentation. I know that this law wasn't passed by City Council. The city was passed by the state, so we didn't have any say in it. With the exception of the grants, because these elections go on multiple times, what do you figure it's going to cost the city extra every year for these new state laws that were mandated? What do you think without the grants that we're getting this time?
Without the grants.
Yeah.
Estimate of probably at least 100,000 an election.
Is that for just city elections, or is that presidential elections, gubernatorial elections, and so on?
That's probably going to be every election. Every election going forward. To get into details here, because one of the other things with the proposal is automatic absentee ballots being mailed out. Currently, right now, when we mailed out the people could sign up for the permanent application list. And so we mailed out 33,000 approximately applications earlier for this election. That now is not going to be the list, it's going to be permanent ballot list. And we are getting back, every application that we get back, 86% are marking to get an automatic ballot. So we have already issued for this current election 18,269 ballots, and so 86% of them have requested that going forward to get a ballot automatically. And so that will add to the cost. You've got the 9 days of early voting, which is obviously going to add to the cost, and I don't know if the state is going to cover this for every election. For the presidential primary, that is an election that we get full reimbursement from the state for everything that the costs are for us. So that one, when we run that in February, that's when the date's looked at right now, we submit and we get reimbursed for whatever our costs are. It would be the cost in August and in November of next year that we would, looking for coverage.
Wow. All right. Thank you, thank you, Clerk Nash.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Toy?
if I may to the clerk, what kind of involvement will that do to the staffing in that office, would you say? I know that's a kind of
Well,
a
there's a
steep
lot.
question.
Well, it's going to be, there's going to be need more staff to help during that. One of the other issues is President's Day is in February. That will fall in the 9 days of early voting for the presidential primary. Okay, so it would be impossible for us to have the early voting center open with not having the clerk's office staffed. So that's a day that people would normally be off. Now they're going to be required to be in. And I'm not sure with the contract exactly what that is, but I believe they get paid their day off and then get double time to be there during that time. Because they'll be required to be there. It'll be departmental needs.
And this was a ballot proposal that all of Michigan, Upper and Lower Peninsula voted for, is that correct?
Yes, and
Okay.
offhand, I want to say over 60%.
Right, thanks.
And it was, there's more to the proposal, obviously, but those were some of the things that are going to be cost for us.
Thank you, Ms. Nash. Mr. Barr?
Yeah, a comment and a question. The comment, I am just going to brief editorial, it just reinforce, and thank you for that information. It may be a good thing, but there is real cost to this, and we talked about our budget earlier, and I won't speak for anybody else. I was at that meeting, and I think it's safe to say, the mayor would agree with what I'm about to say, and I think everybody on council would agree that we're in a position as a city, even as a general fund that's give or take 70 million. I talked about it earlier, like, we're at a place that we're looking for 200,000 here, 200,000 there. I mean, it's a tight budget. And when you talk about, I know you said 100,000, I think you were saying after the grant.
Yeah.
The number we had from the budget was it's 205,000 right now prior to reimbursement. None of this stuff is free. So that's just the comment. The question to Clerk Nash, if I may, when I was studying this earlier, just with this being sort of novel, it's new, and I was curious just some of the rationale behind it, and you explained it. But I went looking for the minutes of the Election Commission meetings, and there are no minutes posted for 2023 as of this afternoon. Is that going to be rectified? So the
That will be
residents can-
rectified.
Okay.
But back to the 100,000, that's 100,000 above and beyond what it used to cost.
Right.
Okay, so that's why I
An
want to
additional,
clarify
yeah.
that it's not just that is,
Yeah, I understand.
okay, I just want to make sure of that, and that, in some ways, is a rough estimate. Because anybody that has spent time in Lansing right now knows we are still getting things, it's still up in the air with a lot of things. Just because the ballot proposal passed, the legislators have to put things in place for us then to move on forward there.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Two questions through the chair to the clerk. Will you be putting all of this on the website, on the city website, with all the deadlines of when absentees have to be requested? Because and I'm sure we're all getting a lot of calls and questions, there's so much confusion right now
There's a lot of
about
confusion.
deadlines and everything else, so if there could just be a timeline. The second question is, does this early voting allow the absentees to be counted starting prior to the day of?
There's multiple pieces to that, and I can break this down. One, currently, if you have an absentee ballot, you sit at home, you fill it out, you return it back to, the ballot drop box, City Hall, wherever you choose to send it back to. And if you choose that you don't want to do it absentee and you want to vote in person on Election Day, you have to surrender the ballot. Someone has to call us at City Hall so we can spoil that out.
Right.
Okay? With the 9 days of early voting, if you have your absentee ballot, if you're on that automatic list, you sit at home, you figure out how you sit at your kitchen table, you fill out your ballot, you can take that ballot to the early voting center and not have to spoil it and redo another one and put that through. A rough estimate, in 2020, if we would have had the ability for people to put their ballot through automatically when they came in here for absentee ballot, it would have been probably 50% of what we had would have gone through. So that would have been that. And then the second part to your question was, You were asking, wait a minute, I'm sorry, you asked about the absentee ballots with the early voting, right? What was the other?
If you could start counting what,
Okay, so that is also being brought up. There is an ability to be able to do that. Doesn't mean you have to, okay? But that's not totally in place
When
yet.
you
That
have
is
to-
one of the things.
you have to, meaning our city.
Yes, meaning that the community, every jurisdiction does not have to start earlier, and that is not totally in place yet in Lansing. That was, like I was saying, there's a lot of pieces to this proposal, that not everything is set with the legislators yet to give us the guidance. For example, even this early voting plan, there was a debate if we even had to take it to council or not. Because some thought we only had to take it and get a council approval if we were going into an intergovernment agreement between another community. Livonia's large enough that we're running our own center, but the same, it doesn't matter if you're a community the size of Livonia or if you're a community up in the UP that has 200 residents, they still have to have 9 days of early voting. So they have the ability, they can go into a joint with a community of multiple communities next door. So there was some theories that by the law, that we didn't have to have the approval by council unless there was a money thing going on between other communities. But we're getting the approval because that makes life simple.
But this is an important change, because previously with absentee ballots, you could turn in your ballot and you could come back
Yes,
and retrieve your ballot and
Yes.
change your vote. Or if
Yeah.
someone voted and then passed away and you got the death records, the ballot got pulled.
yes.
If you do early voting, once you submit that ballot to the early voting center, that's it.
That's it.
You're done,
And
okay.
My understanding that would be it, even for absentees.
Got it.
That
Thank
would
you.
stop the ability to be able to do that. But that's part of the proposal. That wasn't, like as Mr. Barr put, this was not something the city of Livonia or Ms. Toy, I can't remember exactly. This was a statewide proposal.
Mr. Morgan?
Yes, through the chair. I just have another question for you. Instead of, and I don't know the legalities of this. I mean, looks like a fairly new law, but why wouldn't we just do that here? Why wouldn't we have the early voting here at the clerk's office, where they can come in and they can go into kind of a private area and do their voting over across maybe from your office, and then put it into the machine on their own, instead of moving people out of there? Or does it have to be off-site?
It doesn't have to be off-site. One of the issues is we are a large community, so we would have multiple stations set up, similar, and you have to be prepared at a voting center to anybody in the whole community. They walk into any center, they have to be able the ability to vote. So it's not like precincts where you go to multiple, you have to go to your own precinct. So if we had multiple centers, we would have to be prepared with ballots at every center for all 44 precincts. The problem is if we did it here, where would I set up to lock up, or whoever the clerk is, 5 tabulators, approximately 4 or 5 tabulators. The recommendation is to do approximately 10 precincts per tabulator. So this isn't going to be like the precinct when you go to right now, that there is just one tabulator. I'll use mine as an example for 17A. That tabulator will be programmed to accept 17A, 17B, and so forth. So we would have to have it set up, plus with stations with workers to be able to accept people. It's just like the precincts where people come into the tables and set. That's a lot of it, that's why. If we had a large conference, large room that was flat, and we could do it in City Hall, yes. But there is not an ability here. I mean, we did think about the library with the conference rooms off to the side at the library, but then there was other logistical issues there.
Okay, thank you.
If there's nothing else from the council, is there anything from the audience in regards to this item number 12? I see none. Ms. Nash, please take the vote.
Councilmember Donovic?
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan?
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough?
Aye.
Councilmember McIntyre?
Aye.
Vice President Toy?
Aye.
Councilmember Barr?
Aye.
President Jolly.
Aye. Item 12 is approved. At this time, I need a motion to suspend the rules.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Donovic, support by McCullough. Is there any comment from the council on that motion? Any comment from the audience on suspending the rules? This is to hear the X item tonight. I see none. Ms. Nash, take the vote on suspending the rules, please.
Councilmember Donovic.
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember McIntyre.
Aye.
Vice President Toy.
Aye.
Councilmember Barr.
Aye.
President Jolly.
Aye. The rules are suspended. With that, I'll call forth item X1. This is a request to approve an intergovernmental agreement with Wayne County from the Office of the Mayor for partial funding of the Project Catalyst, which is the newly proposed Livonia Senior Wellness Center project that was referred to earlier tonight. In item number 6, the Committee of the Whole meeting. Can I have a motion?
Mr. President,
Mr. Donovic?
I'll offer an approving.
Support.
Approving from Donovic, support by Toy. Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and Council. Thank you for taking this up as an X item. You know, it's kind of ironic. This item has been on a very slow pace. It's taken 2 years for us to get to this point. We met with you a couple weeks ago to bring you up to speed, thinking that it was going to take even longer, and all of a sudden we're finding ourselves needing to hurry up. So I think we're going to end your evening with a good message tonight. What we're asking and what we have before you is an intergovernmental agreement between Wayne County. We have been selected by the Wayne County executive staff and Warren Evans in particular, along with his Economic Development Department, to advance to the final stage for selection as one of the cities in Wayne County to receive one of the grants that are available for municipal development. Tonight with me, we have Terry Marecki, our Wayne County Commissioner. And Terry, if you would join me. Terry has been a true champion in making sure that we've gotten to this point this evening. What you have is an agreement that the county would like us to enter into, which says that we will agree to use this $8 million in funding to advance a senior wellness center, which you spoke about earlier tonight coming out of your committee meeting. This, as you all know, is a very important step in Project Catalyst. It's called Project Catalyst in our big vision for Livonia Vision 21 and creating that downtown here at the corner of 5 Mile and Farmington. In order to create the space necessary for us to build a downtown, we have to clear some space. And part of clearing that space involves moving our senior center. Not only moving our senior center, but taking advantage of an opportunity to really bring seniors, to Council Vice President Toy's point, something that moves us forward in the community, something that addresses the senior needs that they've already identified. They are looking for something that appeals to them as older adults, that has a circular driveway with access through a front door, easy access to a parking lot that's not too far away. They'd like a covered canopy entrance, dedicated parking, an enlarged kitchen, and a large dining room, fitness spaces, a new cafe, a new lounge area. And all of this is possible now that we've been able to secure this almost last $8 million worth of funding. As we expressed to you in our meeting the other day, there is still roughly about $1.5 million that we're going to need to secure in order to get all of the money together, but we've got close to $4 million in asks out there currently with the state of Michigan and with the federal government. So we have every hope that we are going to be able to meet that final little bit and bring this project to fruition and actually have a shovel in the ground in the springtime. So we could not have a better champion than Commissioner Marecki standing with us throughout this 2-year period of time when we first conceived of this idea coming out of COVID. You know, we often talk about the downside of COVID, and there aren't too many silver linings. This is one of them. The first area that we shut down in the city during the pandemic was our senior center. Seniors were the most highly impacted by the pandemic, and as a result, we shut down the senior center. We weren't able to provide service there for a very long time, and as a result, they were the last of our operations to open up again. During that time, we realized that the service we were providing in that center probably wasn't going to be able to exist anymore. People were just too close. The HVAC system wasn't up to par. There were too many problems with that building that we really did need to find a way to overcome. The American Rescue Plan funding provided many communities the opportunity to revisit those types of facilities where wellness was being provided. Livonia quickly raised our hand to say, look at us, choose us, because not only do we have a wellness need for our seniors, but we have a huge transformational development that happens the minute we begin to move that senior center. Terry Marecki believed in that dream. She believed in that dream along with our Haley Stevens, who was our congresswoman at the time, who brought $3 million to the table, along with our Michigan delegation of state senators and state representatives, who have brought an additional $4.5 million. The county wanted to be the last big money into this project, and we have made sure that that is the case. And with Terry's help, I do think that the county is going to be amazingly proud of all the work that we're going to be able to do in order to transform this area. So, Commissioner Marecki, I invite you to address the council as well and share some of your thoughts.
Well, thank you, Mayor. And as the mayor said, this has been 2 years of this, so I'm so glad this is finally here for your consideration. As I mentioned in the committee, the city of Livonia has done an amazing job promoting this project, building relationships with Wayne County, having numerous presentations where they could see exactly how the project was going. And the mayor mentioned Warren Evans, the CEO, and if you would indulge me for a few more people that I could mention from the county, the deputy CEO, Assad Turfi, the new economic development person, Hassan Sheikh, Dave Schreiber, which I'm sure many of you have met with in the past. But even before that, Khalil Rahal and our own Livonia, Wafa De Niro, they were very big proponents of this project. So it was really a joint effort. I'm so glad it's coming here. It will go before the commission for a final approval. But this is a huge step tonight for your consideration, and I think the citizens of Livonia are going to be very happy with this project, and it's going to serve a lot of people. So thank you for your consideration, and thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Terry. Okay, if there's nothing.
That concludes our remarks, and we ask for your approval this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry, who was that? Mr. Barr.
I just want to say, and I've said this before, but I do think this is a great project. I commend the mayor for, I know it's a great project, and I think it's great that I know there's been a lot of work in getting these funds from the various sources to avoid, we talked earlier about the squeeze in our city budget on capital projects. This is a good thing, and I'm excited about it and all the things that it makes possible to happen. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McCullough?
Thank you, Council President. Just even echoing, this is a big deal. This is a huge deal. Kudos to everybody that was involved. I'm so happy to be a part of it as well. That building, obviously I know change is always scary, but having an amenity that we can build upon, and especially, that building used to be a former church. I even think Alpha was talking about how they volunteered and painted it. So the amenities, it is going to be 100% better. So congratulations to staff, everybody that was involved with it, and hopefully we get shovels in the ground, we get a nice light spring, and get the excavation going. Thank you.
Anybody else from the council? I see none. Anybody from the audience wishing to address X1? I see none. Thank you, Mayor. Well done. Ms. Nash, please take the vote on X1.
Councilmember Donovic?
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan?
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough?
Aye.
Councilmember McIntyre?
Aye.
Vice President Toy?
Aye.
Councilmember Barr?
Aye.
President Jolly?
Aye. X1 is approved. At this time, we will go back to audience communication for anybody wishing to address the council on any non-agenda items that were not previously spoken about. At the first open communication, I see none. At this time, I would enter.
Mr. Chair, I have one quick question before you adjourn.
Mr. Barr?
and I should have asked this at the beginning, but I noticed it as we were moving on, and I didn't get it in time. So just a quick question through the chair to Clerk Nash. The communications earlier today from Clarenceville and Schoolcraft that we went through, I just noticed as we were passing by them that was for 2023, which has already happened.
Communications, are you mean that?
And maybe you're not the right person to ask.
Yeah, 'cause I'm like
I guess
going
I'm just
backwards
asking
right
you
now.
just because I assume that's where it's submitted from, so maybe you're not even the right person. But they were for 2023. All those taxes have been collected already. I noticed the letters were dated June and May. I was just curious. Even 8 years in, I'm still learning how the city works. I'm curious why we just took that up tonight for taxes that have already been collected.
These are the reports from
Yeah,
the mayor and others.
item A and B
I'll
at the
say,
beginning.
I don't
And
have
maybe
in
that's
front-
not for Clerk Nash. Maybe,
I don't think it is. We can make a note,
okay, I'm just curious. Yeah.
and, that's.
So over
Why
here,
we're
we got
just
the
now seeing it.
communications from Jeffrey Bunker, Clarenceville School District. I'm just going off this,
Yeah,
okay.
so the letters came in June and May, we took it up tonight, we've already collected the taxes, I'm just wondering why we're just now taking that up tonight. Okay. That was it, thanks, Mr. Chair.
We'll make a note to look into that. Motion to adjourn from Toy, can I have support?
Support.
Support from McIntyre. I believe we can safely show 7 to end all the fun of the regular meeting.
42.
It is 8:41. We will be back here at,
It's one.
say, is 8:50 good with everybody?
It's fine.
8:50 to start the study. Thank you.